Today, we would like to dive deeply into the kind of not an easy topic for all people who are just entering the Web3, but an interesting one for those who are already for years here. That's the execution layer of the EVM chains, the scaling, fragmentation, and the future rollups. I'm Ihor Bielov, marketing and social media at Altius Labs, and I'm here together with Ivan Paskar, the head of growth at Altius.
Yeah, thank you. So I guess you may be wondering why this is a big one, why generally we should be excited about this one. So I spent my background is like more than 10 years in crypto overall. I started as a Web3 marketer in 2016, came through the few agencies, worked with hundreds of projects, and then I just finished my journey at Binance more than 5 years as a marketing lead there. And people ask me like, why do you choose to work in infrastructure project, which is not sexy at all and not consumer oriented, towards working at Binance? So my response is that I generally believe in the multi-chain vision, which we're gonna see eventually, and that's what we see right now. Like the recent announcement, let's say from yesterday, of what Stripe is launching, for instance. Is a Tempo blockchain, and then we have more and more L1s coming out very soon. It gives me the feel that we are in the stage where it's not going to be just like, hey, use our chain, it's the fastest one. We need to come up with the infrastructure which will help to speed up and accelerate absolutely all rollups and chains. And it's going to be custom chain built by institutional enterprise clients, whether it's going to be the existing crypto natives. So a few points like generally why we should care. And I guess regardless of the fact that the buzz and everyone keeps talking about the prediction markets, perps, stable coins, all of these going to be powered eventually by the new generation infrastructure, which we have to take into account. And the generally like infrastructure has not been updated for years at this point. I remember part of my friends, like they used to launch the decentralized exchanges in 2017, and it's been completely irrelevant and impossible to work at that time by launching even the wallet and integrating it on DEX. It was super complicated. These days, we can do lots of cool stuff. Well, overall, if we see that right now, like blockchains today, they still struggle to meet the internet scale. What I mean by saying this is that if we would like to move on chain, whatever is done off chain right now, say could be social elements, gaming, just like basic payments even. What we can see is that 74 million transactions are run within a year only in US, for instance, only in like stock markets. And if we want this to be scalable, then it says, according to our analysis, like you would need 2.7K TPS. I know TPS is a very blurry benchmark, but still, we would prefer still more like the gigagas benchmark by decoupling and understanding how many gas could be in the block size. So the question is always, what is the execution layer? We've been pitched by this question many times. Apparently, barely a few people know. So what we have right now in the blockchain system is generally there are a few standards, right? Like a few pillars in our like industry when it comes to the state access. It's a data availability, settlement, execution, consensus. And yeah, Igor can tackle a bit about this by saying where we are and what role are we playing.
Yeah, and if we're getting back talking in 2021, that most of people have been caring about the consensus, and not really many people have been talking about the execution. And as of now, in the 2025, 4 years, and people are still discussing data availability, the settlement, the consensus, and we're still curious. How's it going with the execution? And that's the thing why we're here and why we're caring about the execution and how it could be improved. The DA and the settlement are already actively explored, but the execution remains the unsolved bottleneck. And in case of the execution layer gap, it's a great question how to scale and the real world examples. And we can get back into the Web2 and how it has been scaled for years at the beginning of 2000s, the AVS infrastructure, and how the Web2 apps have been exploring the opportunities to run on the new modern hardware so they can improve their TPS and their metrics, which are essentially for people who are using the apps and do not care what is on the back of those apps.
So generally, if we are speaking of Altius, what we do, for example, this is something, if we run like analogies in Web 2, is kind of like Redis or AWS for blockchains. Eventually, we prioritize blockchains over protocols and apps because we believe that by doing this, you can tackle more. And what we do and why we focus specifically on execution side is because consensus has been fixed, I guess, like for many years. So we do have researchers and really like tech savvy guys in the team who've done analysis, and they say that there has not been proposed like any meaningful new consensus way. Although Celestia, for instance, they did a great job on the data side availability, and no one ever touched the execution. So it remains like the unsolved bottleneck, and it can drastically speed up any chain which exists. And that's what we are trying to tackle, is like doing this multi-chain. Eventually, of course, we start with EVM, which is the core backbone of the whole industry, and then moving to SVM, UVM, WASM, and so on by end of the year. I just realized this morning that we are barely one of the like one of those projects here speaking at ETHWarsaw who does not has that much like recognition still, and token as well. So I guess it still says something about how early we are overall in this infrastructure case. And the reason why we do this with the team we have is that our team comes from the HFT industry. They are the very mature developers with a 20 plus years background. They come from the Oracle, Yahoo. They've built applications like Shazam. So you definitely know that Shazam works instantly. And that is kind of an example, if we look at the consumer application, what we are looking to see in a few months, years, when there will be opportunity to build on top of what we have. And what we have is just a stack, which is not a chain. It would be way much easier, trust me, to just position and create a new chain. It feels like this is like a wrong perception and there is no need to launch another chain. That's why we'd love to just help and assist any chains on these markets. And if you are interested in tackling this as well, then we can do and we can help with this. Because in the Web2 industry overall and high frequency trading, the speed matters significantly. It's like nanoseconds, not even milliseconds. And in our case in crypto, we are far from these standards, which is why it is important for now.
And in case of talking about the numbers, we would like to mention about like finance, the social and gaming are taking the most of the market, and we can compare the blockchain with those already existing Web2 metrics. For example, the X generates 500,000 million posts per day with like 3 interactions each and 1.5 billion interactions per day. So it's 17,000 TPS needed. And we have currently no blockchain that scales too much. Of course, we're having like different blockchains, and all of them are trying to solve the different kind of things which we're looking for in a blockchain. Some of them are focused on DeFi, and in case of DeFi, they are of course in need of the high TPS, and some of them are the high frequency trading, and some of them are trying exploring gaming as some layer 3 solutions. For example, XAI, which is on Arbitrum, and they are building the GameFi. And in comparison, we can compare it with Roblox, which has 100,008 million people and like 17k TPS for one game, which is still a big thing for Web 2 and which we're aiming to bring to the Web 3. And of course, the finance, that's why the most people are here, like 2.7k TPS, and that's only the US market. And it's globally more than 10k TPS. And in case of the largest applications types which are in need of that kind of execution is like trading, payments, consumer apps, and of course the enterprise activity, which we're seeing is growing rapidly in the last years. And getting back to Altius, Ivan has already told a lot about Altius, and our main thing which we're focused on is the parallel execution and the memory first storage. And as we've are aiming to scale Ethereum, then the EVM has the largest base of developers, and all of them are trying to scale Ethereum and to make it as an instant blockchain, as Mega ETH are building super extra fast blockchain. And with Altius, we can bring that not only to the EVM and to the other EVMs in the future as well with the VM agnostic architecture. And here is like an example of.
Guess what we should know also, like early bird gets the worm, right? So we can share with you that within this month, we expect the benchmark to be released, and our SSMT showcase the data that we are tackling the gigagas throughput latency, which means that we're going to be overall faster 5 to 15x than average L2, like, I mean, the fastest L2 on the market. And what it means is that we'll start working with them eventually so that they can improve their performance even better. If it works, then eventually, of course, we'd love to work with the Ethereum Foundation and help Ethereum itself to be the fastest in its history. And you remember that the Ethereum Foundation recently stated that they are looking for opportunities how they can reach 10k TPS. So that could be an option how we can do this. Overall, the idea is just to give the competition opportunity to any chain and see what happens. Like if they can finally fix on what means, like building some real applications and ideating, like bringing that novelty from Web 2 to Web 3, and because they won't be focused anymore on working and figuring out how do I crack the code and make my chain faster, because we can do this together with them, then I guess the industry will win overall and users will win eventually. What we see these days is like people are curious and wondering like, hey, okay, like why should I care about you guys? Feels like you are more for developers. You should talk to them. But eventually, overall, I guess we have not seen that a level of adoption. And for instance, if we even like tackle one segment, one industry in Web3, which is gaming, no one cares about gaming, right? Like we've even seen that VCs are trying to invest, trying to support, but there is no progress overall in general within a course of 5 years. That's also the case because there is not a level of like infrastructure which can support what they can do off chain at this day. But we are not just solely focusing on L1s and L2s. So what we can do is we can like give you a bit of perspective that we also help enterprises and institutions. And that's one of the first partnership we're going to be announcing this month as well, is to build the custom chain in the best way possible for like the enterprise institutional clients. Just like we see these trends happening these days with Robinhood, Stripe, Google, and so on.
And also, we cannot forget about reducing the gas costs for people who are just using the blockchain and using that on daily basis. That's a big thing. And for people who are validating in the multiple blockchains, especially on Ethereum, like we remember Ethereum 2-3 years ago when the gas costs were like $500 more than we have now. And of course, the end user is all of us. And one kind of memorable analogy, how we can think of the execution layer in our everyday life, and that's the Formula One engine. So it doesn't matter which car, in case of us, that's the blockchain, we just plug it into the any blockchain, and it can instantly, like for the 4 weeks of the from helping from developer side from our team to the any blockchain in case of the first steps, that's the EVM ones, to go through all this process and to make them to enhance the execution of the current state of the blockchain. And it could be also the another analogy is like the or router in the Web 2. It's invisible, but absolutely critical for connecting and scaling everything. So
I guess that's it for now. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask. If not, this is the website where you can find most of the information. And our team is mainly based in the American time zone, but we are the only ones based in Europe. So happy to chat offline. If you're looking for some testing, looking at the code on GitHub, it's right now in the beta stage before we roll it out publicly within Q3. Please talk to us. And I guess that's it. Thank you very much.
Yeah, do we have any questions? Okay, amazing.
Hey, do you have some examples of speed up which you already done in execution layer, which you can show us as some charts, for example?
Yeah, so just yesterday we had a call with our developers team, and they shared with us like the benchmark data, what we can get eventually. So it's not in production yet because we are pre-product stage, but in a few weeks, once we roll out the product, we can showcase. So the data says that as a minimum, we have 450 megagas speed. What does it mean in a simple words is that an average L2 has maximum 100k megagas, which is like 5x faster than an average L2, like Base, BNB chain, and so on. And but the thing is that when we talk to these players like Base and BNB chain and so on, one of the bottleneck and problem they see is also the memory. So there is some specific number of block size, and you can. What they interested is to input as much as possible gas in these block size, so that more transactions can go in a parallel way. This is especially important when there is, let's imagine, I don't know, like some NFT minting process or like claim process of the token, when there is a very, very high demand for simultaneous transactions interacting with the one smart contract. So right now, we see that the data also differs based on the blockchain. They run, obviously, this data on the test nets, and we would be curious to see how it works on the main net. The good thing is that we can do this without even requiring all validators to update their stack. The reason why we believe that maybe it would be more safe to start and see the real production and then showcase it to crypto native teams is by helping to launch a chain from scratch to enterprise solutions. That's why our first partnership is going to be like institutional client in stablecoin industry. Very basic use case where you have transactions, millions on a daily basis. And that would be the first moment, I guess, hopefully by end of this month, when we can see the real throughput and example. But on average, what we are trying also to do is like to decrease the, optimize the hardware use. So it means that, for example, one of the best case right now, what I see is like the real time of Mega ETH. And what we can do is like optimize the 15% the hardware use and bring these to the VM agnostic vision so that we can do this on Solana chain. Although, by the way, Solana is already tackling execution stage by themselves internally. But wouldn't say that like they are at the final stage. There is still some things we can help them to improve, even although they already started working on this. I hope that gives a bit of perspective what should be within like the next few months.
Thank you, guys. Anyone else wants to ask something?
Hey guys, thank you for your presentation. So a quick question. A few weeks ago, I saw a Bankless podcast with Vitalik Buterin, and he mentions that he sees the future for Ethereum to shift from EVM to Risk VM. Are you gonna be compatible also with the Risk VM, as you mentioned? Are you a chain agnostic, for example, or like VM agnostic?
I guess I can retake this as well. So when we saw this, it's kind of like we had a very unclear thoughts inside of the team, because this is what we basically do right now. And we realize, okay, that means that they are looking for this option. But when we start talking to teams working with Ethereum Foundation as well, then we realize that there needs to be some checkpoints where you can showcase the real throughput and real examples. And ideally, what we want to see is like some high network volume on these chains we've integrated with, so that it could be like stress tested. If stress test for exchange could be when they are hacked, then for chains it could be when there is a high volume. So yeah, this is the long-term plan. And what is also part of our long-term plan is the open execution network, kind of like it's in the roadmap for next year. It's a kind of like extension and improvement for our stack. So what it means is like, I guess you're all familiar with Kaito and Cookie in an InfoFi stage. We believe that developers needs to be also like rewarded and granted for contributing the good code. And if they can optimize the code, which going to be done in the way so that more transactions can be processed in a parallel way, then they will get rewards from Altius as well. And yeah, hopefully this will kind of like endorse them to write a better way and optimize. Because when our core dev team looked at generally all the code available on the market, especially like EVM related, they were shocked that it's not been optimized for years, unfortunately. But it could be. There is a way. So it's going to be, looks like, available just very soon. Thank you.
Okay, great. Thank you so much, guys.